Bill, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I think we're good.
Okay. Approval of minutes, December 9th, 2024, special meeting. I will take a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
And Nancy raised her hand as well. Oh, I think that was Nancy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sarah. Any discussion?
Yes, that's why I raised my hand. It was filled with letters. There was one thing they talked about had 5 capital letters, and I didn't even know what it was. What is that called when you're say CIA instead of
Oh, acronyms.
acronyms?
It was filled with acronyms. Okay.
And they lost me on it. I wonder if at the bottom, like a footnote, they could explain the acronyms.
Nancy, are you talking about the December 9th minutes?
No, not the December 9th. 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Yeah, I think
16th.
we're currently voting on the
Okay.
9th.
Which is
Never
fine.
mind.
You can bring it up. Basic report writing protocol is the first time you use an acronym, you explain it in parentheses or you write out what it means. And then afterwards, of course, maybe that's something that should be done in the future.
That would really help. I think anyone reading it, that one from 16, would, if they're just, regular person they wouldn't
No,
understand
that's a really good point, Nancy. That's something that should be done. So
We'll work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Are there any other comments on the December 9th? None. I will call a vote, and we'll do it voice vote. All in favor of the December 9th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. I know Elizabeth has this other way you could do it. I'm just not quite comfortable with it yet. December 16th. I will take a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Davis.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Any discussion on December 16th? Other than the acronyms? Okay, I will take a voice vote. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 16th, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say nay.
I'll abstain.
Okay, Megan.
Nikki abstains too.
Okay. Thank you, Nikki.
Yep.
Good enough.
Okay, public participation announcement. Public comment is not legally required, but we believe it is crucial for us to hear from our community members about their concerns over issues. Through these meetings, our board models for our students how to conduct public discourse, and that the board and members of our community can approach controversial issues in a civil and constructive manner and can demonstrate mutual respect. Having said that, please note that the board is here to listen. The public comment period is not designed for discussion. Please start by identifying yourself and what town you reside in. Public comment. Announcement.
Your hand is still up there. Yeah. There you go.
Thank you.
Okay. Hearing none, we will move on to items for discussion, followed by motion. FY26 calendar.
Yes, it's linked in the agenda, but I also just shared it with those of you that aren't here. It's in your packet if you're here. So you should have it. Bill, do you want me to share my screen or to show the calendar? Would that be helpful?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay. And I will do that.
From what I've looked at it, the early Hartford draft, which is super early. They're way behind, which is the early Hartford draft is for my eyes only because I have to actually set up the school year. But the holidays and the start and end dates all match, which is
Yeah,
exciting.
we worked really hard as a region, a superintendent region, to get this,
Yep.
and actually across the state, to get the same start date and February and holiday and April breaks to align. I think there's a couple of holdouts in the state, but mostly it's aligned. And I did want to
Yep.
just say Laura Powers is here. She's the association representation tonight because in the contract, we work on this together and present it together. So Laura's here and she's been here. So thanks, Laura. If the board has any questions. We've gone through
Laura,
it
I do
together.
have a question for Laura. How does the association feel about quarters versus trimesters?
I would say elementary and middle school, it's not as prominent because our grading system is ongoing.
Mhm.
So we don't utilize or change our classes based on quarters or anything like that. It just continuously goes. So the high school, I don't know the answer to that. Obviously, they have classes that change by semester or quarterly. So I would assume that they are still looking for that. But
Yeah. Does the follow-up question, I'm wondering if the high school would be interested in transitioning to a semester setup.
They do, Bill. Some of their courses are semester long.
Right.
I think, or full year, but not they're not
Some are
quarters.
full year, particularly
Yeah.
math.
Yeah.
Because we found that
Yeah.
it's better to keep doing math
Yeah.
throughout the year. But others are semester long.
Yeah. So in Hartford, at the high school, we did away with quarters, and so we only post grades mid-year. In some classes, particularly algebra, 1 is 2 semesters. I guess one of my pushes is to get middle and especially upper elementary back on track to having posted grades at certain times. Because honestly, I think the ongoing grading, I feel as a parent, it has turned into spam. That's just my personal opinion. And I know that is a fairly widespread opinion, at least in Outerbridge parents, I guess. And so, Megan.
Hello. I just have a question about the January 5th off. I know we had that again. We had that this year too. And just wondering so out of 5 weeks, there's 4 Mondays that kids don't have school, which I know was troublesome in my family and troublesome in other families. And I just wonder if there's any consideration of what that could look like or what is the need for it to be January 5th?
So that's a professional development day, which we had a robust discussion about. I did share with the association that there were some parents that had asked about that day. Why, after 2 weeks off, is there a need for could there be a different day for that professional development day?
Mm-hmm.
So we discussed it. We can certainly entertain looking at a different day for that. I think, Laura, you can help me. We talked about maybe the 20th of January. It seems for most parents, lumping them together is helpful if they know in advance, or breaking up. I think we said March. Is that right, Laura?
Yes.
I'd like to highlight the fact that, and I know it's putting the cart before the horse for administration, but looking at what in-service stage Hartford is using so that those days don't, fewer days interfere with the tech center. The simple fact that we have so many students from Windsor High School going to the tech center. Last year, I think it was over 50.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And so that creates I think January 5th creates a burden for elementary parents. And I have to agree with Megan. That's it was a bit of an issue having two educators in the family and having a child at Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union. The rest of the school districts around the area have school on that day. We can deal with that. At the same time, though, there's no HACTC classes for Windsor High School students because it's not a school day for them. That's my biggest concern, is that missing out on that instructional time or having to create busing on a day in which there are no other buses running.
Yeah, and I did recently share this. They asked for our calendar, Bill, the tech center. I forget her name.
Yep.
She's lovely.
Erica.
So I just sent it to her. I think it was last Monday, and I told her it was not approved yet, but we were hoping to get it approved at this meeting. So she does have it, and we certainly try to work with the tech center as closely as possible, just for the reasons you mentioned.
Okay.
They take from other schools too, so it's hard. So they've got kids from Lebanon and all over the place. So trying to get
Lebanon, Plainfield, that area all follow Hartford schedule because of that reason. So many of the students go there. So anyway, so did I hear you say you were looking to have this approved tonight?
We're hoping to have it approved tonight. We have a professional development, professional learning committee that is going to meet tomorrow actually, and is going to start planning out professional development for next year. So it'd be good to have an approved calendar to work from.
Okay. Megan?
I really do have concerns and over the 4 Mondays from that can just be a real hardship for people, and I just would really like that to be a consideration. Because I just think four Mondays out of 5 weeks is a lot to ask a parent to take off.
Mondays after 5 weeks.
Because you look at in 5 weeks, there's 4 Mondays off from the beginning of from the December all through the January 12th,
So December 22nd, 29th, the 5th, and the 19th.
Yes, that's a lot in a row.
November 10th also.
That's a parent-teacher conference day.
Yeah,
Sarah?
School.
True.
I also agree with that. I think that's pretty heavy on the Mondays there in a quick span. But I also was going to ask Laura, do you think that a in-service day would be better used, spread out throughout the year, use a day in March, or
I like the March.
or do you think that beginning of the year is better?
I think the teaching staff had asked about having the day after that long break off in order to prevent the teaching staff from having to go in over their 2-week break to reset the classroom, get their things prepared on their non-scheduled time. So the in-service day at least gives us the opportunity to be in our buildings although we're doing some in-service, we also have some opportunities to work in our classroom, prepare ourselves for the following day when kids would return, and it doesn't hinder our time with our families and our 2 weeks break.
Mhm. Davis?
Yeah, no, I think that pretty much answered my question. And just it seems like the only thing really in question right now is this January 5th date. I just wanted to clear that up. Everything else seems good to folks. Good as it's going to be for this 25, 26.
No, not really. I just my concern again, and I'm being selfish because I'm on the Mount Scottney board as well, is the fact that we have for upperclassmen, what do we have? 40% of our student population, 30% of our student population going to the tech center, and aligning those in-service days at least in some way with the tech center's in-service days, I think would be appropriate.
Is it feasible or possible to do that with this calendar, given the conversation that you're having with folks this week?
With the staff?
Yeah.
Align the calendar with Hartford? No, I'd have to meet with the Hartford team, and I mean, they have the calendar. Their calendar is not done yet, according to
No.
the last email I got. They have a late start. They have an interim superintendent. I think she's trying to figure things out, but their calendar's not done.
No.
I don't know where they're at with it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, I know where they're at with it is as right now they're following the same start date, end date, holidays.
Yeah.
They just haven't set any of their in-service. Now, if the in-service that the administration here has chosen aligns with the in-service of what the state wanted, then I guess we've done our due diligence. Or is the in-service just kind of chosen on how it fits with what the administration and the association has come up with?
So in our regional meeting, the agreement, to my understanding, was we were gonna all have the same start date. We were all gonna have the same vacation dates. If you could align professional development, that's a goal, but I think districts have a different number of days. Some have, like, I think we have 5, like Hartford has more than that. So, and other districts have different numbers. So it's not impossible to align, but it takes, it would take conversations for sure.
Well, Hartford, of course, they split some of their in-service days between PK8, K8, and 8 in 12. And the only concerning factor was to make sure that some of our in-service days align with the in-service days for 9 through 12, because that's the schedule that the tech center follows.
I don't think it would be hard to move the January 5th day to a March. I think, Laura, we kind of talked about that at the meeting we had, anticipating we might need to shift that one. I hear, Megan, it is a long time. 2 weeks and then having another day does, for families, feel like a long time. It's a lovely break. And people really get to kind of reset, for sure. But
I agree with Megan on that. It's a little hard. At the same time, if that's the date that is an in-service for HICTC, I would flip my vote for that. And so
So we don't-
I'm not hearing, Christine, that we're prepared to approve this. I am hearing that the holidays are set. I think the in-services are a little insecure. Or approval of the in-services at this point, the way it's written. Now, anyone else out there, please chime in. And if everyone feels they want to go with this, or enough people, I'm more than willing to call a vote and move on with our lives.
I just want to be clear, when we say the in-services plural, do we mean there are other in-service dates that are problematic, or are we just talking about the singular January in-service date? Because I want to know which cement is still wet here.
Well,
You've got, oh, sorry, go ahead, Bill.
well, to me, it's making sure that most of the in-service days, or as many as feasible, align with the tech center. That's my concern, because that is a lot of students who the schedules don't align for the tech center. And those 1 or 2 days or 5 days, and we have 5 in-service days, could be pretty significant of loss of instruction.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say the start date for students is, we agreed on, districts are gonna have professional development days before that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Those, the beginning ones I'm not that concerned with.
Nope.
The holidays, I think, line up. So the
They do.
PD days, I mean, we have some early release days that probably don't line up with Hartford. I don't know. if
Well,
they
I
do
think we've
early-
taken care of that. The early release days, you still organize a bus to HACTC. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So
So-
I'm fine with that. Even though I have to admit, I was hoping for one fewer early release day this year, so to sort of go along with that pattern of slowly getting rid of them. But I'm not going to
Yep.
raise a fuss on that.
Well, we've got two less. We've got two less, Bill, with the parent-teacher conferences.
Right.
We did reduce one PD day, and we had a long conversation about needing time. We've got EQS standards to implement next year.
Mhm.
We've got proficiency work to continue. We just need the time. There's just not enough
Yep.
time. So I think the biggie is probably the 5th.
Yep.
And that's it, because April is parent-teacher conferences and November is parent-teacher conferences.
Yep.
And I think it's the 5th of January.
I'm gonna just expand on what I think Megan's saying, like, at least in my job, Mondays are the one day I can't miss. And so even during our vacation break, I came in for each Monday because Mondays are packed from meetings from start to finish. And the rest of the week's okay, but I think a lot of jobs are like that. So when we have all these Mondays off, it's just, Mondays are more of a hardship than a Tuesday. And so I don't know if that's that way in Megan's job, but I know in all of a lot of the engineering jobs, that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
I would be excited to move it to March.
The 5th?
Yeah.
I'm happy to reach out to the tech center and find out if they have a day in March and try to align it with that.
Okay.
If that's
So,
helpful.
Is it possible to approve this with a TBA for the 5th?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I will take a motion to approve this calendar with a to be assigned for January 5th.
I'll move.
Second.
That was a
Any
good
discussion
idea.
on that? Davis, is your hand still risen?
Oh, nope.
Okay.
That was going down, yeah.
That's what he said. That's good.
Okay, I will take a vote. If there's no more discussion, Davis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Nancy?
Aye.
Amy?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
I haven't seen Hannah. Is she here?
She's not here.
Okay. Nicole?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Anne Marie? I haven't seen her. Mark?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I am an aye. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Should be item
Okay, resignations.
Yep, I've got one that I don't need a vote for. I'm just bringing to your attention one special ed support staff member, Victoria Sauer, is resigning because of, well, we need to go into why, but she's resigning. The second one I do need your approval on is from Frank Kelly. I don't know if it's here on paper. I'll read it to you for those that aren't here. Frank is our ACE job skills teacher that we hired this year for 3 days a week. He is a godsend. He's amazing. He's really helped build the program, but we knew he was just going to be here for a year. He's got plans. He'd actually retired, I think, before we pulled him out of retirement. We want to have this voted on so we can post the position before the end of the year. So it has been a pleasure to work with ACE students, staff, and families during the 24-25 school year. Their energy, enthusiasm, and willingness to try new things has inspired me throughout the year. Regrettably, I will be retiring from teaching at the end of the 24-25 school year. Thank you for all that you do to create a positive learning environment for students and adults. Best wishes for continued success. Signed, Frank Kelly. So
he's finishing the school year.
He's finishing the school year. We just want to be able to post the job early so that we find someone.
Yep. I will take a motion to accept the resignation of Frank
Kelly.
Turley.
Kelly with a K.
Okay, Kelly.
So moved. Sarah?
Thank you, Sarah. Do we have a second?
Second, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Okay, I'll go around the room again. Davis?
Aye.
Nancy?
Regretfully, yeah,
He's so great.
Yeah. Amy?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Beth?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye with regrets.
Sarah?
Aye.
And I am an aye with appreciations for finishing the school year and with regrets that he's leaving. Okay. Hiring Director of Student Support Service. I will take a motion to hire. I had it up here. Now I think I closed it.
I move we hire Jennifer Hulse.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second, Nikki.
Okay. For those of you who have read her resume, you know as well as I do, we are extremely lucky to find someone with this level of qualifications. And I believe that we should move forward and hire her. Any other discussion? Katie? Is Katie here? I saw her.
I am, but Christine had her hand up.
Okay, Christine. I didn't see Christine's hand up.
Sorry.
Okay. Yes, Christine.
It's board discussion time, so I didn't want to speak without permission. I just wanted to, first of all, thank Davis and Sarah, who were part of the interview process. Sarah served on both the initial screening committee and the admin board committee. And we really moved quickly because we had some viable applicants and feel really fortunate that Jennifer was selected. Her references were, I would just want to tell you, exceptional. And the people that we spoke to are really, really sad to see her go and say that we are very, very fortunate to get her. So I just wanted to say that out loud. Yeah.
Sarah, do you mind sharing a few sentences on your observations?
Sure. Yeah, I think she comes with a wealth of knowledge in all things, student support services. She's been running a program for a very long time, number of years. So, yeah, we're excited to have someone so qualified, and I think she'll bring some new ideas. And she's looking forward to getting to know RSU and kind of who we are. But I think it's gonna be good. She has a lot of experience, so I think that will help tremendously.
Davis, something that you would like to add?
I don't have too much more than that. I mean, I think her resume kind of speaks for itself in a lot of ways. She's clearly extremely qualified, and I think from being in one of the interviews, it's clear that she'll bring, the kind of care and attention and focus to this role that we need to do it well. So yeah, no, I think she is definitely somebody we should bring on.
Katie, anything you would like to add? Because honestly, we can't replace you, or who you are and all you've done for this SU. But at the same time, I still respect your input.
This is the first time hearing, because the committee does a wonderful job of keeping things confidential. So I am very happy. I know who Jennifer is. I've worked on a committee with her, and I think that she's coming into something with a great team, and I'm very, very happy. It actually, as hard it is to leave, it is good to know you will be in great hands and moving forward with fresh ideas and someone who has the experience she has. So that's wonderful.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Any other discussion? Okay. I will take a vote. Davis,
Aye.
Nancy,
I,
Amy,
Aye.
Megan,
Aye.
Nicole,
I,
Beth,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and I am an I. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for all levels of the hiring committee for expediency and professionalism. Okay. Administrative report.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna go first and then Katie's gonna follow.
Yes, I've got to get back on the link again. I
Let
came out
me-
of the meeting, so let me just
Share this tab instead. Oops, going on in the place. Slideshow. All right. Okay. Bill, you hanging in there?
I'm at full dose right now. Give me
Okay.
about 15 minutes. I'm going to start the fade.
We're gonna go quick. I wanted to start with just sharing that February is School Board Appreciation Month. I know it's not February yet, but I won't see you until the end of February. So I want to thank you for your service and all the work that you do for our kids and our staff and our communities. I did run home and make brownies. I took them out too early. They are stuck together, but you're welcome to have a little treat while you are here. Larry already got into them. Hopefully they tasted good. But truly, you do a great service, and it is not noticed. So thank you for all that you do. I wanted to just highlight a couple of things, positive things at the beginning of the report. In one way, in meeting our culture and student staff wellness goal, Tracy Price, who's here, organized an amazing professional development day, which was that day right after the 2 weeks off. So it was really spectacular. We've had only good feedback from the staff about the day. It started with some keynote speakers. We had Susanna Davis and we had Laura Pascoe. Laura Pascoe is our consultant, and she's helping us with gender inclusivity. And she brought some students with her, so that was a really powerful presentation that she gave. Susanna Davis, I think I'm saying that right, but I might not be. Her presentation was on whom do we serve. It was about representation and messaging, and it was, she really captivated the audience. She was a wealth of knowledge and very entertaining as well. So the morning went great, and then in the afternoon, staff selected workshops. We had one on education, the new education quality standards. We had Laura, who facilitated an afternoon session on gender inclusivity. We had HHB prevention. We had the Human Rights Commission come for that. We had a session on restorative practices and trauma-informed education, and I think the day was a huge success, and it really is building our understanding of inclusion and belonging. And so thank you to Tracy for all her work on that. The second slide just speaks to our student success and engagement goal. It's been a busy month since we've been back. There was a geography fair at Heartland, which is an annual activity, which is really fun. The kids had so much fun. Their teacher, Abby Fusco, said they want to do another one in the spring. There was a concert at Weathersfield, a band and choral concert. We had our science fair at the high school on Thursday, and our capstone project, the kids did, the young adults presented their capstone projects on Friday. So all of them did an amazing job. So it was good to be out and about seeing our kids engaged. The legislature is in session. I'm sure you've heard. We had a VSA, Vermont Superintendent Association. I'll try not to use acronyms, Nancy. Meeting on Thursday. There's two biggies that are, being discussed. I'm sure you've heard of the governor's proposal for what education is going to look like in the state, which is 5 districts. There's a lot of unknowns about the plan, or
5 SUs.
Yes. So his plan lays out 5 supervisory unions based on the regions. Essentially, it's our superintendent regions. So, yeah. So that was a lot of the talk that happened at our meeting. The Superintendents Association did put out a response to the plan. I quoted a couple of sentences from that letter, which basically says that superintendents want to support our students, and we want equity and opportunity and quality and affordability for all. We want to help reimagine the work, and what education looks like, and just noted that the association has called for change for years and has supported some consolidation, and has historically these plans have been rejected by the community. So there were a lot of questions about who decides what, where the power lies. So anyway, I will keep you updated. I did want to let you know that I did get an email from the secretary about a request for policy sprint teams. The timeline is pretty aggressive in the plan. But they are looking to have people join these sprint teams, and they would like board members to be part of that effort. So if you're interested, you're supposed to reach out to the VSBA if you have any interest in being part of any of those sprint teams. But I will keep you updated when I know more. I will share it with you.
What are the sprint teams? Like, as part of the proposal, or?
They're teams that are gonna basically figure out how to make this happen, I think. So
You have to agree with the proposal.
you don't have to agree, but you're there to share information, perspective, and but you don't have to agree. So if you're interested, they're going to start meeting in the next. They're going to start.
You're giving input.
You're giving input. They will start meeting. I think the message said in the next week or 2 they'll start meeting. So it'll be an aggressive timeline. All right, I wanted to bring to your attention, we talked about the curriculum and development and coordination policy last month. Mark and I had conversations after that. I think there was a little bit of clarification on my part for what could be helpful in clarifying some things around the policy. So we did have some procedures for the policy, but I have added, let's see if I can click on it. I just added something to clarify, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. These are public. I will have Lori put the new draft on the website after tonight. I just wanted you to see it first. Of course, it's gonna be slow. Here we go. So the part that was added was number 3, which is assisting schools in following the curriculum. And what was added was a timeline for the implementation of a new curricular program will be provided to staff at or before the onset of implementation. So everybody's clear on what that implementation timeline looks like. Implementation of the curriculum is supported and monitored by the school administrator. So that's to clarify that, the school administrator is really in charge of implementing the curriculum in their school with the support of the curriculum office. The supervisory union will provide assistance and support to each school and administrator within the supervisory union to ensure the curriculum is implemented according to the implementation plan and timeline. So that was the section that was added, and I think that clarifies and answers questions that staff had about the policy as well and implementation. So those procedures, you don't need to approve them, but I did want to bring them to your attention. I thought that would be important. All right, let me see if I can get my screen back to where I was. Okay. There we go. All right, quick budget update. All 3 local budgets were approved by the boards this past month. I plan to send out a special superintendent's corner budget edition this Friday with information, kind of as a little summary of all the budgets, so that people have the information that they need. So look for that on Friday. And all of the administrators are working on their budget information hearing presentations. So they're all hard at work on that. I wanted to just highlight, we talked about hiring. Last year, we worked really hard on hiring practices. We talked about the staffing shortages that we have and how we can attract people to our district. So Brooke, our communication/technology person with Larry's support, worked on, and I think Tina as well, worked on a brochure that we can take out to hiring fairs if we're going to hiring fairs. So I wanted to share that with you. It's really visually appealing and kind of talks about what we stand for, who we are. We're also going to order some pens and lanyards to have at these fairs to give out. So you heard about the Director of Student Support Services. You approved that hire. I wanted to let you know that the Director of Curriculum Assessment and Instruction process started on Thursday, and we are hoping to bring a candidate for your approval at the next meeting in February, which will feel really good to have those 2 positions filled. We do have a fair number of candidates for the curriculum position. The quarterly financials are here. They are in the packet. If you're here, I will click on them so I can bring them up. So you can see them. This is the second quarter report. The first page is revenue, what's come in, and you will notice that not everything has come in yet, which is very normal for this time of year. The second page is expenditures. Katie and Larry and I were having a robust discussion as Mark walked in, looking at.
You have to share that tab.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Thanks. Let me share that instead so you can see it.
Everybody can see the.
Sorry about that.
There you go.
You can see it now. Okay. We were talking about why contracted services looks like it's overspent, and that was, I think, what we landed on is that line is out of district placements, and there will be some money reimbursement coming in for a portion of that money later on in the year. Is that accurate, Katie?
Yes, we have some extraordinary costs that are far more extraordinary than we've ever had in my tenure here, which then will be reimbursed by the state. Just there's some bigger tuitions and transportation costs. But it'll
Does the,
Taken care
tra-
of
will
it.
some of the does the transportation get reimbursed as well?
and anything associated with
Okay.
a student's placement.
Okay.
So, and it's sorry about the sticker shock.
So, there's the general fund, balances for you. And again, revenues have not come in, so we're not panicked at this time. All right, let me go back here. Share this tab instead. I'm almost done, Bill. Promise. All right. Okay, we did the calendar. Thank you. I just wanted to remind you that the February 24th meeting, we're starting at 6 so that Larry and I can get to the Heartland budget information meeting at 7. So we're starting a little bit early. And last but not least, the board survey, which I keep bringing back to you. I have had 7 responses. So I got 1 more done than last time. It looks like if you look at the results, the first priority is number 3, which was the first priority for 4 of 4 board members, which is that the Windsor Southeast Supervisory Union will ensure that student progress is monitored through a comprehensive data analysis disaggregated by gender, race, and socioeconomic status. And then I would say the next one, first priority is that you will develop and implement a structured process for soliciting, reviewing, and responding to input from staff and community stakeholders to ensure that policy decisions reflect diverse perspectives and meet the needs of the school community. And then the second priority, which had the most, is evaluating me, which I hope you'll choose to do because I would love some feedback. So, Bill, I don't know what you would like to do with that information, but I think we've sent out the survey a couple of times and we have a majority of the board members who have completed it. So I will leave that in your hands now.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I attended a assessment of superintendent's workshop. So that really
Great.
needs me to dive into the information more than just
Okay.
the workshop. So, but I'd like to start that sooner than later, especially if I get reelected. And I'm feeling better. So
Thank you. All right, I am turning it over to Katie. I was 17 minutes, pretty good, huh?
yeah, I'm impressed.
Will I be faster though?
So
I'll put a timer on it.
Okay. All right. So as you keep challenging me to aspire to work on my visuals for my presentation, so I tried this time. So feedback's always welcome. FY25 special education, this is just a snapshot. And I decided, since this is probably my last big report, just to where we are now and some thoughts about moving forward. So no, that we're all good. We're so good. I'm gonna get happy now because I haven't said this in person to anyone. You all know about monitoring. We're out, we're still out, we're staying out. Our timelines are great. We do happy dance. There's another thing that's kind of like monitoring, but worse, called, it just doesn't, it is local special education determination, which every year they look at data 2 years prior and you get graded. Couple of years ago, we were really not doing so well based on 2 years prior, so it was the 2020 data, and I had to do a huge report. It was something that it left an indelible mark. So we got ours for 2022, And for the first time in at least 7 years, we meet expectations. Yay! So, I got it, and they sent it out at like 4 o'clock on a Friday, which is kind of like the AOE's thing for special ed. And Christine and Tom were the first ones to get it.
Yes.
So I wanted to show what this means. If I can get my computer, there we go. The things they look at, there's 13 indicators plus some other really cool things. And I couldn't do this without the other administrators. This is not just, it is all identified students for the data gathered, but it affects across the board. For example, graduation rates of students with IEPs. State, and it's broken up, you see the slash, we're the first, the 89.47%. The state target was 71, so we beat that. The dropout rate, that has significantly dropped every year in a good way. We've made amazing gains on using Vermont Adult Learning. It doesn't count as dropout. They're considered, we keep them for transition services. I mean, some of these kids are probably like, would you please let me go? And we don't. So that is, and I shout out to Kathy Mack for that, because the coordinator of out of district students, she does an amazing job working with those families and students and young adults. The indicators 3 and 4, which out of school suspensions and expulsions, we don't have any expulsions that I'm aware of for years. But do we have a significant disproportionality, both in race and ethnicity, as well as that looking at more than 10 days? And we don't. We all the schools track that data. And I think part of that is within our behavior matrix, we really, all of any student that's being disciplined where there might result in a suspension, we have conversations. We're coming up with really good alternative plans. It's a lot of work, but it is a team effort. The parent involvement survey, I will share, we get a really low response rate despite my emails, put in the newsletter, everything. And people are like, oh, we still didn't know. I'm not sure how else to do it, but we're getting responses back from families. About 20 a year has been our average. The last one we have might not meet the state average. There was some good feedback, which is a good learning tool, but with low numbers, it kind of hits your percentage. But for 2022, we met, and I believe we also did for 2023. The disproportionality, do we have disproportionality looking at our categories? We do not, and you'll see a little bit of that later. Indicators 11, 12, 13, which you've all heard way too much about that for the past several years, are all our timelines we make. We're 100% in compliance. So this is a lot of data, a lot of information. There's stuff we were not graded on this time because the state didn't take that into account. They decide which indicators they're looking at. Some of the other ones have to do with where preschoolers are, whether families decide to send their children to preschool or not. Since preschool is not mandatory, it's an interesting indicator to get monitored on. Yep, and graded on, because we encourage families to have students in pre-K, but if they don't want to, they want to have services elsewhere, that's okay too. We meet kids where they're at. So there's a couple of those. Statewide testing, we've met the 95+% of students with disabilities being assessed, but that wasn't something that was, they broke out the percentages on this year. And there's a few other smaller things, but I think the biggest ones honestly are the timelines and graduation, and looking at just putting all of those pieces together. It comes out every year, so you'll get more information about this, but it's a 2-year lag, which is hard, honestly, on our end of trying to institute change when something is that old on what's happening now. So it's nice to, hopefully we've set a really good foundation for next year and moving forward. Some of the things that helped us meet this continue to be in play, from record keeping to policies to our procedures. So it's a big celebratory piece.
And all the work you did to recover from.
Yep, fixing things, and the very large book report I had to do, was it 3 years ago, Christine?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't
Yeah.
want, maybe that was my incentive, not really, but could be. Highlights, we heard about Frank's resignation earlier. Frank is not here tonight and probably come after me for this, but say it anyway. He has been the injection of creativity and time and focus that we needed to address our older students in our ACE classroom to our high school. It was perfect timing. We could have done it, but it was not as critical. But now, because our students are getting older, we do have a good chunk of students in the 6th through 8th, but our older students in 11th and 12th plus grades really needed this community-based learning. And so all the foundational pieces he will put in place and has been putting in place will be very easily transferable to a new person. And that's been his focus as well, is to build that system. These are all the community sites that we are now connected with through ACE, and you can read that list. Highlight, of course, I can't get away with me not talking about putting skiing in there. There's a student on a slider who's independently skiing, and full disclosure, Frank and I also both volunteer with Vermont Adaptive. So hence, he's keeping that up. So, and we're hoping whoever comes in is also a skier, so we can keep that up, because we started it. The other is the students had some programming with the Precision Museum, American Precision Museum across the street. We're continuing to add to this list based on student input in their interests. So their internships, their experiences, and their learning. So, and if anyone at any point has other ideas, please let us know, because it's the little small sites too that sometimes are the perfect fit for many of our students. So who we are currently now. Our student count for eligibility for special education, it fluctuates daily. But the last count was 299 with 24 students in process. And that is across, we are definitely seeing an increase in early childhood that I think I've talked about for past several years. That is an increase, that is universal in Vermont. Currently for staff, I didn't do this by FTEs, I just did by people on this slide. 101 direct hires, that includes everybody from administration, support staff, Medicaid clerk, you name it. We have 11 contract services, actually contracted, not contracts, sorry about the typo. Our speech language pathologists, PTs, and BIs, behavior interventionists. It will be, I just started today, a direct hire speech language pathologist for pre-K. In person. We have a unicorn. And
What's BI?
behavior interventionist.
Thank you.
It is. We are very lucky. She was looking for a pre-K position, and that's all she really wanted to do, and came glowing recommendations, and we're thrilled to have her. So that has been, as you know, the hardest thing to fill across any district. Currently, our vacancies, 0.7 school psychologist, 1.0 special ed interventionist that has gone unfilled this year, and currently 4 support staff, although we might be down to 3, I have to double check, which in the grand scheme of what you look around our SUs and our neighbors, we are in really good shape. We've been able to meet student services and creatively, but I'm when I did that math out, I was pretty pleased about that. So all of those people, all the adults that working with the 299 eligible and 24 in process students, plus a whole lot of other kids that are within, not in our special ed software. This is how everybody's broken out. It all adds up to the math that we have, but this is the FTE. And we've been pretty creative with being able to do things, as you're aware of, a remote school psychologist this year, things, remote speech language pathologists, we had to hire another because of an increase, but that has worked out beautifully. We do have 23 teachers full-time, and the support staff, it's approximately 64. It's give or take. We have a few staff that work very part-time, and it does take into account our current vacancies. Who the students are, so here's my attempt at a pie chart that maybe I think you can see. One of the things about disproportionality that I mentioned on the LSAT, what we were graded on before, is Vermont has a long history of over-identifying students, for example, in the emotional disturbance category. I was very pleased when I pulled our data that we don't. We have done an excellent job of evaluating and looking at students and trying to get to the core difficulties they may be having that may result in behaviors. And that's things like ASD used to be maybe misrepresented, or specific learning disability misrepresented, and not out of malice, not out of anything else. It's just, how are we looking at students? How do we do that better? And our assessment team, between school psychologists, BCBAs, board certified behavior analysts for behavior, counselors, speech language pathologists, and others have been phenomenal on really digging deep with kids. So one of the reasons I wanted to pull this up is, we'll tie into the next slide, 78 students across the SU and 77 within the SU are half. So those two categories are slightly over half of students who were represented. Those students are the ones with most included in our classrooms in the general ed curriculum, with accommodations, modifications, and supports by teachers. So that where developmental delay, yes, there's a lot, but those are all of our children under 6, because that's the catch-all for early childhood. So that looks different because it is extremely broad. The 36 students on the spectrum, it's a large percentage, but still not as much as the whole of the other. So the reason why I wanted to look at that is because I think this is part of what's next. We're identifying students, we're working really well with them, we are exiting students, and then we bring students on. That somewhat seems to be, it's a little bit more of taking students on right now than it is not, but that ties into looking forward. So we've heard at different board meetings, and you've read about the state recommendations for support staff and professional staff ratios. What we tried, and some of you may remember 3-4 years ago, David was still here, we started with Heartland, and as we replaced teachers, instead of replacing 3, I think it was 3 for 1 kind of support staff, and we did the same thing at Wethersfield. Maintaining that has been difficult, and for multiple reasons. Looking forward on some of the things and reflecting on some of the things that impacted, it's not only IEP decisions. An IEP reflects what's happening in the classroom, right? What supports, what services students need. So looking at universal design for learning, making accommodations, adaptations, modifications of curriculum. We've had 2 in the elementary, 2 new curriculum in the past 2 years as we're implementing it. That changes dynamics. It's new learning for lots of us. Mm-hmm. How do we do that and translate the best for students within the classroom that can be addressed through UDL or accommodations, that tier 1, 2, and 3 instruction. So that is part of the work for as we move forward with CIA and special education and special student support services working together to continue to move that work forward. The collaboration on those classroom supports, collaboration on teacher training, all of those things. There's also a training coming up, and it's multi-state with other special education administrators. we're encouraging principals to attend because they're the ones who are at meetings and who support classroom teachers and students most directly. But it's about making decisions about when paras are necessary and what supports do we need to put in place. So by our plan, Tom, Kathy, and I are all planning on attending. It's over 3 days over the next couple of months, is to get that information and then make our own presentation and information for both the board, principals, and staff, and obviously paraprofessional, all of it. So we're all better informed on what current practices are, so that we can best support students. So there's plenty of other things, but that's one of the biggest ones because in our budget season, it's something that we also need to consider because of staffing. I think that's my last slide. So I talked really fast, which I know you're used to, but any questions, thoughts, or I can be done before, what was my time?
A little longer than me.
Huh?
Just a little bit longer than me.
Couple minutes.
Okay, I tried.
It's okay.
Bravo.
I did have one question. Did you say we had a, full-time school psychologist that's remote?
Yes. That, Leota Tucker, last year, it was part of, we came up with a creative way to retain her skills, while she is elsewhere this year, instead of taking a leave. And we continued to advertise for an in-person person, and, we couldn't
We
get,
just
so.
haven't gotten it out.
Nope, and, well, once she was hired, we stopped doing that, but anyone else for the 0.7 that I've advertised for, even if I could find it, I could have found enough in a grant to make it full. Everyone who was interested was coming through contracted service and was remote. So
Okay.
I put it out there that, we're really lucky. Counseling services, evaluations, running meetings, diagnostic, information, everything. It took some excellent collaboration between the 3 school sites to make it work. So, we didn't have a
So
box
we're
there.
shooting for in-person, it's just.
We are.
Staffing it if we have room or not.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
We
meets-
wouldn't have one if we didn't.
which is not an option.
Right.
Nope, and
She knows everybody, so that does
Yeah.
make the remote easier.
And she's great.
and better to have someone we know who knows our system and knows our folks.
Exactly.
Instead of doing anything else. And it has worked out very well. But it meant shifting some responsibilities solely to one into others, and that team has made it really work. I'm very, very grateful. Hmm?
More plates to spin.
We're gonna open circus later. All right,
Thank you, Katie.
thanks, Bill.
Okay, setting the next agenda. I think we have some policy work to
Yep.
re-engage.
Yeah, so we've got B7, tobacco, we've got
Yep.
C3, transportation, all the ones from last month. I also would like to add the immigration policy and
Yes.
what would you like to do with the active hate policy, draft policy?
I'd like to get it into the reading cycle, so yes.
Perfect. So those are the policies. My report, and then Angie's up for a data report next month. I am wondering if you would, like Jennifer, she offered to come to meet all of you. I mean, she may be remote because she's a couple hours away, but if you
Yep.
would like her in February, I'll ask her to do that, and hopefully for action items, we'll have a curriculum director to bring to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Hope you all appreciate I didn't apply for the curriculum director position. I wanted to keep this spot.
I appreciate that, Bill.
Thank you.
You do a great job.
Okay. I will take a vote to adjourn this meeting unless there's anything else that anyone wants to. I will take a motion. to adjourn the meeting?
I'll motion. Nikki. Second. Nancy.
Yeah,
Okay,
Nikki and Nancy.
okay. Any objections to it? Any discussion? No? All in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you, everybody, and I'm going to bed.
All right, hope you feel better.
Yep.